Greetings, Saints, and thanks so much for tuning in to the Barbara Dean Franklin Show, Real Talk, Real People. I am your host, Barbara Dean Franklin, and today I have the awesome pleasure of sitting with my friend, Kim Hodges. How are you today, Kim?
I am well, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Kim, for being here. Kim is will I call you the
Executive Director and Founder.
Okay, the executive director and founder of Michigan Alliance of Time Banks.
Yes.
It's a community that's building communities 1 hour at a time. I had the awesome pleasure of taking a class with Kim a couple of years ago about time banking, and so I've kind of been fascinated with it ever since. In my community, I try to do cleanup and just different things to get the community involved, and I find that excuse me, it's not working, like I would like it to.
Right.
So I thought that I would have you on today to talk about time banks, what they are, what they do, how you get them started, what you see as the benefit of them, and just so other people would know about it, and then maybe I can go back to my community once people are hearing about it, and then we can come together and get some things started. So the first thing I want to hold up is the flyer that says connect your community by creating a time bank. And Kim, I want you to tell us a little bit about your mission, what building communities are. So if you could tell us a little bit, what is time banking?
Time banking is a way of people in a community connecting with each other to give and get.
Okay.
Get from and give to each other. So it's a way for, if I'm looking for a cook because I'm a bad cook and you're a great cook, I can come to you and say, would you cook a meal for me?
Right.
And then you might be looking for somebody to wash your car, and that might be the next person down the road.
Okay.
And then that person might teach someone's child how to read.
Okay.
And that person might play a violin concerto for somebody else. So it's a way of, in a community, it's a circle of giving.
Okay.
It's a way of saying, I need something, here's an unmet need, let's connect the two together.
So when you say that, I kind of think about like almost like a bartering system. I know it's different, but back in the day, when you didn't exchange money, if I did something for you, then you could do something for me. Now, the way time banking works, because as I hear you say it, so I need my car washed. You may not necessarily wash my car,
Right.
but I need my car washed. You need something, but there's somebody in the community. So let me just at this time, bring this up, because this is just one of the sheets that you have and some of the things that you do or people can do, escorting people to appointments, shopping, doing errands, helping filling out forms, typing, word processing. So I need my car washed, and I will go to somebody and get my car washed. But who's ever washing my car may need some help filling out a form.
Right.
So how does this work? How do you use this sheet? How do you incorporate this sheet? And I'm probably jumping ahead, and we'll get back to it, because how do you get started? Okay, so before we go here, let's talk about how people get started. How did you get involved in this? How did you find out about time banking, and what made you want to get involved in doing this?
Okay.
All right.
I read about time banking in the Detroit Free Press about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And my background is in organizing. I've organized unions and communities and political campaigns for many years. And I had knocked on lots of doors in lots of neighborhoods, but I never had done that in my own community. And I had lived in my house. I live in Lathrop Village, which is Metro Detroit, for about 15 years, and I really didn't know my neighbors very well.
Okay.
And I didn't like that, because I grew up in a small town where I knew my neighbors, and we had a lot of fun together, and I just really I missed that sense of community. So when I read about it in the Free Press, I knew that it was something that I could do. It's my skill set, organizing things. So I did some research. I found the national organization, Time Banks USA, which at that point was had some information about how to get a time bank started. And then I just went to, we have a homeowners association in our community that does a pancake breakfast in January, where I've been and where I knew about 60 or 70 people go.
Right.
And so I just made a little speech and asked for 5 minutes. Could I just say who's interested in this concept? And I talked about what it was,
Right.
and said who might be interested, and 20 people signed up, and we had a potluck in my house the next week and talked to somebody from Woodstock, New York, who had started a time bank there and learned how they did it, and then we formed our own time bank. So in Lathrop Village now we have been going for 4.5 years. We have over 100 people, 120 or people who have joined, and we do lots of interesting things for each other, and then we started to get some press from the local media, and people from Southfield, other cities wanted to join our time bank. And our organization was founded only for the people of Lathrop Village, because it's not just about giving, but it's also about getting to know the people in the areas that are close to you. So we really weren't interested in trading things with people from other communities that were far away. We really wanted to do that within our own community. So we learned then there are people from other places that would like to do this. So let's start an organization to teach people how to do it in other places and connect them and support them. So from the Lathrop Village Time Bank, which I was the co-coordinator of and still am, we started the Michigan Alliance of Time Banks. And our mission is to say, here's how you do a time bank. Let's connect you with other time banks so that we have a learning community among us, and let's support each other so that we're doing it jointly.
So as I look at your, your site, and I get your newsletter, because I signed up, so I think that's great. So now you're doing time banks, banking, but you do a lot of other things. It seems like you're going out to the theaters. You're doing. So how is that incorporated? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we seek to spread the knowledge of this concept as far as possible, because a lot of people have never heard of time banking. And so one of the things that we do in addition to teaching and connecting and supporting people who are doing it is spreading awareness of time banking. And there is tonight, for instance, a movie in Royal Oak called Fixing the Future, which features time banking. And this is done by a man who did a previous video a couple of years ago. He's on PBS and a number of different things, named David Brancaccio. And that movie is coming to not just Royal Oak, but also it's being shown, premiered all around the country tonight. So it's being shown in Grand Rapids and Lansing and in Ann Arbor. And people in the future will be able to connect to this movie and learn about not just time banking, but also other initiatives that are being done around the country to kind of create a little sustainability revolution, so to speak, where people are like worker co-ops and local banks and things where people are connecting and living in different ways. So we seek to teach and connect people as much as possible, and that's one of the ways that we do it.
Okay, so in the city of Detroit, do you have time banking available to people there?
There are a couple of time banks in Detroit now, and others that may get started in the future. We know there's a lot of interest there, but in order to start a time bank, it takes somebody who's really very committed to doing this over the long term. It's not a project that if somebody says, oh, I'm going to build a time bank in my summer because I'm a teacher, that's not really going to work very well. It really takes a couple of years to build any organization. It's like starting a new business. You're not going to go out and start a new business and think, I'm going to make $1 million in 6 months. It's the same kind of thing with a time bank. You're creating a brand new organization. You're teaching people a new way of living in their community. You're working to connect them. And it's also not a field of dreams. You can't just build a time bank and then people are going to come to it. You have to constantly engage people, give them opportunities to learn about time banking, get them the opportunities to connect with each other. Because if I am a mom looking for someone to take care of my children, I'm not just going to go to any Tom, Dick, or Harry, right? I'm going to get to know that person. And it's the same if you're letting someone in your house to do any kind of work. You really want to know that person. Do I trust them? Do they do good work? And so you really want to kind of test your feet in the water a little bit before jumping in the pool, to jump in the pool. So,
in the pool, okay. Say, especially in my swimming pool.
You got a nice pool, I hear.
Exactly. So I guess, when you bring that up, then I can kind of see maybe some people, like in my neighborhood, I've been in my neighborhood for 26 years, so in the general area of my neighborhood, the 2-block radius, I'll just say that, I'm just going to say really the 1-block radius, you have a block of people who are committed. They're homeowners, they're buying, they've been there, there's not a lot of in and out traffic, so those people, you're kind of committed. You can do that with, within, if somebody needs some homework help, if, my daughter does hair, I can do your hair, you can do this, or so I could see that going back and forth. I could see it being a problem where, you're living in a community where you don't know a lot about your neighbors. Do you, and I bring that up because I started a newsletter, you know, and in that newsletter, I walked around, printed 200, did it, put it out in a 4-block radius. You know, the 4 blocks, you know, maybe 2 blocks down, to say, hey, let's clean up the community. Let's come together. Let's get it clean. You know, who's throwing the trash? Who's putting the big couches on the, side of the road? You know,
Right.
are you driving them up and dropping them off? Are you carrying it on your back? What's really going on? You know, so let's get together. Let's come out for the next 6 weeks. Let's do it. Let's clean in the 4-block radius, and then, if this works, let's keep going 4 blocks down until we get to the Southfield Freeway. If we're all committed to doing that, man, the neighborhood would be great, because number one, we know that the city of Detroit is in dire straits. Nobody's coming to save us. So if we don't take care of our community, nobody else is going to do it. And I said this before, that not one person came out, but that's not true. Maybe only 2 people in my neighborhood came out to really try to help clean up. I had my friends coming from Troy, my friends coming from different neighborhoods to help me clean up the neighborhood that, we lived at. I had a lot of people call, hey, they were committed, they were coming, but nobody showed up. I didn't do it for one day, I did it for a lot of times. So do you, like with your time banking, because you guys are committed, you're Lathrop Village, you do this pancake thing, like once a month. So do you find like a lot of people start out and drop off, or how is your group going?
Well, we have a variety of people who do different kinds of things. So there's a small group of us that meet on a monthly basis that is the leadership committee.
Okay.
Then there are people who will come out to do group projects, because we once a month will also do something as a group. So we might come and paint your basement, we might clean up someone's yard as a group, or wash someone's windows or something like that as a group, as opposed to an individual. And we also have people who like to come to our fun things. So we have a chili cook-off. In February, we've had outdoor movie nights. We're going to a local restaurant tomorrow night to just get together and talk. So there are different people who would do different things. And there are a lot of people who don't come to too much, or they'll come occasionally. But that happens in any organization. You have a few people who do the bulk of the work, and then you have a lot of people who will come when it works for them. And so that's okay with us. We would like people to engage more, but there's no way you can force anyone to do anything. And in a time bank, you do what you want when you want to do it. And so that's how it works. But I forgot to say to you, in terms of Detroit, you asked me, were there time banks in Detroit? There is one time bank that's forming in the Near East Side, in the Indian West East Village there, along the river. Berry Subdivision, and I'm forgetting the other couple communities.
Well, Southwest Detroit, did you say they merged?
That's on the other side of Detroit.
Okay.
So this one's on the Near East side,
Okay, all right.
and it's housed out of Church of the Messiah Housing Corporation.
Okay.
And then there's another one that's a little bit older that is in the Southwest Detroit area.
Okay.
So it's in 48208, 09, and 010 zip codes, and it's housed out of Bridging Communities, which serves frail elders. And so they merged with another time bank that was in Southwest Detroit, more Hubbard Farms area. So.
Right. Okay, and this is really good, because I'm just looking at your past events where women creating caring communities all over the world. I'm a part of that. I have a friend, Mona Copeland, who is very active in the union, and so I see a lot of events that she's involved in. So that was something that you guys did a while back. So if somebody wanted to start a time bank, do you help people get started, and how do they contact you, and tell me a little bit about that?
Well, we have a website, and my first request would be go to the website and learn something about what time banking is there. There are a lot of materials about how to get a time bank started, where they are in our state, what it takes to get one started, what are the different ways that you can do time banking, because it really is a tool, and it can be used to deal with a lot of different social challenges. So people should go to our website at mitimebanks with an s.org, mitimebanks.org, and do the research there. We have monthly meetings, usually, although not always, on the first Saturday of the month. But that's it from 11 to 1, and it's in Southfield at Peace Lutheran Church. And so that's where we have our learning community, where people who have done time banking and are learning to do it and want to do it come and connect with each other, learn what's working in Royal Oak, what's working in Southwest Detroit, what's working in Lansing, and be able to talk about our shared lessons.
So since you've been involved with the time banking, and you do this, you research it, you send out the newsletter. What has been one of your aha moments? What do you see about it that makes it work? What is something that you see that other people, if you wanted to start one, kind of what information would you give them to help them, start their time bank, being committed to it, and hopefully, help them get a successful one. Again, you say you can't make people come, but what is one of the okay, so if I had to do this again, I would do it this way. What is something that you found?
Well, that's a good question. I would say not to have large expectations and to know that it's going to take time to build this organization, because I thought with my skill set I would be able to do it fairly quickly. We did do it, in not short order, but it does take time to build an organization and to understand that people will do what they're going to do when they're going to do it.
Exactly.
And so to help the people to understand it, that even though you get it and you think it's the best thing since sliced bread, and so do I, the next person might not.
Exactly.
And it might take them hearing about it for a year or 2 or 4 before they really are interested in engaging. And they might kind of like the concept, but we're so overwhelmed right now with information and pressures and stress in our lives that adding another thing to the mix is not really what a lot of people want to do. And so even though it speaks to me in some way, I might not be able to make it happen right now. And so to understand that planting a seed and continuing to water that seed or plant more seeds is going to reap something for you in the long run. So give it a little time, but know that you have to continue to feed that seed in order to make it work.
And as I sit here and I talk to you, I think about it because, I need some plumbing work done, and then I have a young lady that belongs to my church, Greater Southern Missionary Baptist Church at 8000 Fullerton. I haven't done that in a while. I always have to plug my church. So, she's starting her own cleaning business, so but I'm just thinking, man, people want to get paid, for the things that they do. But if we had a community of time banking, so I could say, hey, you want to come over and swim in my pool for an hour? I can get the plumber to, give me an hour of work, so this is how it works. Everybody fills out this form and put down what their area of interest or what they bring to the table, their professional area, what they have to give to somebody. And then I can look on here and say, well, okay, I need this. So I'm not necessarily letting the plumber swim in my swimming pool, because it's not like a back and forth thing. Or I could. We could do that. But if I need my floor clean, I could have the girl who cleans the house, do something for the plumber. So it's just like kind of everybody just puts in a pool of what it is that they do. For time banking. So I kind of want people to understand that, concept of how it works.
Yes, it's important to understand that we don't use the word barter because bartering in our country is a taxable medium. And so if I do something for you and you do something for me, we're supposed to put a dollar value on that trade and put it on our taxes. Time banking is a community of giving forward, paying it forward, and everyone's time is the same no matter who you are and what you do. So a 10-year-old child's time picking dandelions from my yard is the same as a doctor or an attorney who might be doing something for you. And 1 hour is 1 hour no matter if you're paid $500 an hour as opposed to paid $7 an hour, whatever it might be. So it creates a field of equality in terms of our assets. And it's based on the core values that we all have assets. Some people will say, including people with master's degrees, I have nothing to offer. And I have to say to them, number one, you're talking to me. And do you know that we have a woman in our time bank whose husband has Alzheimer's? She just wants someone to come and sit and talk to him and listen to him and be patient while she goes and has a break and does other things. So just a conversation is so valuable to someone who just needs that. Many people need rides. We think everybody drives. Not everybody drives. Not everybody can read, as we know. Not everybody can tie their shoes.
Exactly.
And children have amazing gifts and can do a lot for us, right?
Right. And
So
that's really good. I mean, I never thought about it like that, because even in the community, how great is that to get the children involved early,
Right.
to see that they have something that they can give back. And what kid probably would just really, love to do this because they feel like they're a part of something.
Right.
I had a couple of weeks ago at my church. I don't have to plug it again. I just told them where I go. But we had a vacation Bible study. So some of the kids from the community came over to the church. They had never really been there before. And there was a young man, and he came with his little two cousins. And then that Sunday, after the vacation Bible school was over, he came that Sunday. He had a little kid in the stroller. He had two of his cousins, and you could tell he really enjoyed being there. So as I saw this young man and saw his commitment, I walked up to him. I was like, we really need somebody for our media ministry. Would you like to be a part of it? We need you to check the mics, make sure the batteries. And that next week he came in. He had on a little jacket. I was getting ready to check the mics. They said, "Oh no, you don't have to do that because Quentin has already been here. He's already checked the mics. He's got the sound system on." So, we make a difference,
Right.
if we just apply ourselves. So, that's good. I never thought about it like that. So, again, what is the website for you for them to get in touch with you?
the website is mitimebanks.org, like Michigan, mitimebanks with an S.org. Information about what's coming up, our meetings,
Okay.
research to show you all the different ways that time banking is being used, not just in this country, but around the world.
Right.
It's being used to deal with things like healthcare, mental health issues, issues with seniors, issues with youth. There's a peer youth court system.
Okay.
There is a time bank, for instance, in Maryland that's focused only on seniors and keeping seniors independent in their homes for as long as possible.
Okay.
They've been going for over 20 years. There's one in Maine that's over 10 years old that has over 700 members.
Okay.
Over 100 of those members are healthcare providers. So they're providing a ton of healthcare to the under and uninsured in their community.
Right.
They're also focusing on weatherization, so they're working with their community members to say, let's make sure your home is as tight as possible so you're not losing all the energy out of your house. And do micro enterprise. So we work with individuals to say, you want to start a business? We, as a time bank, we're going to help you figure out how to start your small business.
Okay.
This person can do your website, somebody else can pick up your kids, somebody else will teach you about a business plan. So we're supporting that. So there are time banks all over the world, really, many in Italy and Japan. And I just heard, and I hope it's true, that Holland is creating a national time bank, and the government gave them a lot of money to give to every single Holland resident in the country of Holland.
Really?
Yes, so I'm hoping that that's true.
So you could bring it over here, or try to get
Well,
that same.
it would have to come. We would have to be pushing our government to give some
Okay.
money for this,
Okay.
because, and I think they should be actually, because we need something else to be
To
supporting
support,
us during
yes.
these times of tough economic times.
Yeah, as you're sitting here talking, and you're talking about time banking, and I'm sorry, I'm just like sweating away. As you're talking about time banking, and I'm thinking, okay, here in the city of Detroit, we're in dire straits. So what, man, if we really, put our minds together, because I just called the city, and I was talking to somebody because the grass was so high, and we couldn't get anybody to come out and cut the grass. Well, I talked to somebody, and I just really thank God that I was connected to the right person, because within a couple of days, my grass was cut, because you go to that corner, you can't see around it. But what I find is that the city is not cutting the entire grass. They're cutting the perimeter. They're just making it safe. So in the middle, you still have that grass that's growing tall. But so what do we do in the community if they're not coming to do the things that we need done? Do we just sit there and just let our, communities decay because nobody is coming to help us? Or do we get creative? Do we start a time bank?
Right.
Do we work together?
Right.
Do we come together as a people, as a community to say, okay, well, the government may not come and save us. What can we do? I mean,
Right.
because if I'm sitting there and I'm looking out my window and grass is growing tall, I don't have a weed whacker, but that's what I call the city to say, hey, do you loan equipment? Because if you're not doing it anymore, you still have the equipment that you used to do it. I will ride the riding lawnmower and cut the grass if you will provide it for me. So what I did find out is that they have a program or a guide that you can get a grant. That if you have a block club, your block club can get a grant and they will give you the, help you buy the equipment, but you would have to have a place to house the equipment. So, there are a lot of things that are out there people don't know until they know. So I'm hoping that with this show that somebody will know about time banking, how beneficial it is to, to come together to look at that. I think that, again, you don't know what you have to offer. My mom is sick, I'm telling you, she's on a feeding tube. Although we pay for health care, sometimes my sister wants to do something because she is the primary caregiver, that on the weekend, maybe she wants to get away. Maybe I'm busy this weekend and I'm not able to help her. That if we could, just use that, where people will help each other. Because I'm sure there's something where somebody is sitting down, they have a need and nobody to address that need. So if we all will come together and use Time Bank for its intended purpose and really think about it as a good thing. I mean, this is really a good thing. But where are the people who think about the good things to make those things happen? I think we really need to really get together and really think about this. Do you have, so you don't have any upcoming seminars or any conferences or anything like that, what people could just go to listen, to hear about
There are various places that we're doing speaking engagements, and most of them are listed on our website. And we do a newsletter as well, so if somebody wanted to learn on a regular basis and get a monthly newsletter from us, they can do that on our website by going to mitimebanks.org and clicking on join, and then they would get connected into our monthly newsletter, which gives people regular information about where are there events that we're speaking, what's coming up. So.
Well, I will make sure that at the end of the show that we will put all of your information, the information to your website, so if people want to join or get that newsletter, to maybe just follow it if they're interested in it. Maybe they don't understand it right now, but they have an interest that they will come, they want to learn more about it. They can follow it at least and look and see what you do on a monthly basis. Look at the other things that you're doing, because I think when I took your session, I think at that time, were you guys starting an urban garden? Did you start a garden?
We didn't start one, but other time banks have started one. Yes, there was one that was started last year in Southfield, and we encourage, we say that there are a lot of projects right now that are happening that could be using time banking as a tool to help to facilitate that mission. So, for instance, a lot of the urban gardening that's happening now in Detroit, if people were in a time bank, they could be getting time in their banks for doing the gardening work, and then have someone come and perhaps give them lessons in how to fish or something like that. There's so much good that's happening now, and we could be using this time bank as an alternative currency or complementary currency to say, all right, maybe you're not going to pay me in dollars, but I will take something. It's just as valuable for me to get connected to somebody else who can do something for me, and it might not be cash, but to get something else that I'm looking for. So,
well, I personally think that this is really a great idea. I encourage people, especially during these economic times, to really think about time banking. To really, if we want to do something that we've, different, then we've got to come up and do something that we've never done before. To really, go to the website, get information about time banking, learn as much as you can, contact Kim if your contact, or whose ever contact information is on that website, and just really think about what you can bring. If it's babysitting, if it's making lasagna, if it's making pierogies, if it's whatever it is, if you cook, if you are a cook or you're a cleaner or whatever your passion is, if you like to read to people, if you want to entertain somebody, there is a plethora of things that you can do. And there's nothing too little or nothing too big that you can bring to somebody's life,
Exactly.
Well, Kim, I want to thank you for taking the time out your busy schedule, because I know it was last minute for you, but I appreciate you being flexible. I appreciate you being here. I just thank God for the day that, I happened into your time banking session. I it was a joy for me to learn about it. You know, I started talking to people about it, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I just didn't communicate it. So what better way can I get it communicated than coming from, not the horse's mouth, but just coming from you, you know, for you to be able to come here to sit down to talk about what it is that you do. So one more time, let's give them the website, and then we're going to get ready to end the class. But before I do that, I want you to look into that camera. If there's anything that you can say to people about time banking again, just look over there and tell them why this is a passion of yours, why you do it, why you started it, and what benefit that you think. And I know you've said that before, but we're getting ready to wrap it up. Just kind of give them a goodbye of why you do what you do.
Okay.
Okay.
MITimebanks.org is the website. Go there to sign up for our monthly newsletters and to connect with our community and learn about what's happening when. What I can say to you is that 4 years ago I had no friends in my neighborhood. Now, after 4.5 years of time banking, I have friends that I play tennis with. I don't have children and I don't have dogs. Those are two ways that people in our community connect with each other. I can now share people's dogs and their children, and I don't have to take care of them all the time. That's a wonderful thing. And I have friends that I go dancing with, that we play cards with, so we're so much more connected in our community. For me, that's what it's about. That was my goal, to get to know people in the neighborhood, but I also understand the larger value. I've received many, many, many different services from Time Bank members, not just in my community, but from around the state. And there is a multitude of ways that this tool can be used. So I encourage people to check it out, learn about it. If they're at all interested, it is not something that's going to happen overnight, but it is something that is a wonderful way to connect in your community and share with each other. You must give, and it's about receiving as well. So it's not just paying it forward and volunteering. It's also about saying, I need some help. So it's about reciprocity. Great program, many uses. Hope people will check it out.
All right. Well, I'm going to end my show the way I always end my show, from my beating heart to your beating heart. I love you. You understand? Okay. Thank you.